Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the South African ESEA Season 28 Grand Final here between Big 5 and Energy, two of the most prolific MGOs in South Africa. I'm joined by a long-time partner and friend, Mr. Wham. Welcome. It's been a while since we've shared a microphone.
It has a microphone, a room, a
Maybe
conversation. It's
a
been
room
quite a
would be
while.
better. Yeah, not really sharing a microphone, but sharing a
Yeah,
TeamSpeak room nonetheless.
exactly.
What these teams are sharing at the moment is frags, one apiece so far, and Energy just looking for a little bit of aggression early on, maybe just some frustration from their previous game. They did just come off a really close victory against Sinister 5. Look at Big 5 here, very aggressive strat coming through straight towards CT spawn, going past old bomb, going all the way to the B bomb sites. This is not a strategy you see too frequently at the top level of Counter-Strike. Domster's going to get caught off guard by Spartan, and this is where it starts to get a bit iffy. They're not really in any position to counter this attack. They're going to be completely surrounded. Terrorists have got great control on this round. Mistim's going to have to come up with some big plays here. He's trying to close the gap and isolate one of the players. Not going to happen, but Lexi is going to be receiving the same treatment, and it's been quite a round from Big 5.
Yeah, very nice start off the blocks. Something like you say, it hasn't been used very often, and almost a rare tactic that used to work very well if you'd executed quickly. But they were able to catch Domster off guard and be able to get into that B bomb site. Very nice
Yeah,
done.
also what worked well for them was getting that pick nice and early on Black Poison towards mid-main, because then Energy had a lot less information to work with and they started focusing their resources away from Ivy, just creating a gap for Big 5 to push around. So nice work around there by Big 5, and you can see Energy go for the force up here. Madison, it was 19-15 to Energy, so very, very close game. They were down 12-5 at one point, and that was on Mirage as well, which is a map that's probably considered their best. So
Yeah.
quite interesting that it got taken so close. Have a look at Blades. He's got the new weapon out. Let's see how this thing works, man. MP5. Come on, you got to be a fan of this one.
And I must admit, after this much time off, I still ended up looking at it at the exact same time that you started mentioning it, and it was something that was a very powerful weapon in the past, and I'm sure that the second any type of advantage that can be created from this will be used, and it will be used powerfully.
Yeah, I mean, how much practice could this guy even have with the weapon? I mean, really, yeah, this
Maybe a
must be
couple of games.
for the lols. Dumpster, this guy plays the B bomb site so well. Really, he does get it on lockdown. You can see that Black Poison's come through to support him. Interesting tactic here by Big 5. Looks like they might try and fake outside and then push the ball through towards the B bomb site. Spartan not going to be getting caught off guard there. Can't need the next point of attention yet. And it looks like Big 5 are finding their respective peaks around the map, or their picks rather. Nice patient play from them, actually, not really going and looking for too much, holding their angles, responding to some aggression that Energy is sending out. Of course, when you are on the force buy, it's important to try and get something done. You can't really just sit back and wait for the T's to push into you. Generally, it's not going to go in your favor.
No, not at all. And if you don't create those 2-on-1 angles with these pistols, then you're going to have to start forcing your timeouts. And if you're not getting any information on the map, and the T's are able to explore and create diversions or at least doubts, I think that's when you find your biggest problem. And you're going to expect at least one or two pushes. And like you said, Big 5 being very, very well rehearsed on their defensive aspects, and just making sure that they don't overextend their welcome and push into angles alone.
Yeah.
And well, results in a nice clean win, and no bodies down as of yet.
Oof, until now, Black Poison finds Spartan. That's an AK on the ground as well, but 3 players here. That AK actually gets blasted away by the bomb, and that allows for a second kill for Black Poison. So in the end, they'll be quite happy with that result, considering they weren't going to be getting a single pick. A couple exit frags. Hard eco coming through now for Energy. Big 5 was very important that they got off to a good start here. The next map is Inferno. Not entirely sure who picked what. I'd be surprised if Energy picked Train and Big 5 picked Inferno, I suppose, but these maps are actually quite, both teams are quite comfortable on these maps, I think.
Yeah, I'd almost say it is interchangeable. Like I could say that
Exactly.
on a situation maybe on tonight with the finals, I'd think that Energy would go for the Inferno pick, just because Train is something that they like to have others pick for them in a way, just because of the fact that they have historically been good at the map, but
Yeah.
haven't necessarily always been as consistent on the map against the top tier sides.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, trains, it's not an easy map to keep up a dominant streak as well, because it's quite easy to counter. Once you do find a playstyle that might be working really well, teams can just go and study it and counter it. It's that you constantly have to be changing the way that you're setting up on the CT side, whether you're going for pop control, having a aggression towards A main, how you're utilizing the trains, IV pushing there or holding it passively, even towards B, pushing through there every now and again. It's a real mind game on the CT side. And it's important to make sure that you're keeping the Ts guessing all the time, not letting them get comfortable with their defaults, making sure you're constantly disrupting the setups. And we can see now Big5 just going for the stock standard B hit, knowing they're against that hard eco, going for the safe play, sticking together and mopping up the frags.
Yeah, well executed, and once again, that patience coming so vitally into play. And I guess as you need it, you want to have that Ben start. And you were saying that Big5 started off brilliant in the first round, and as long as they keep maintaining something like this, with the patience is coming out, Energy is going to be forced to make a play to get some form of information, because they're very far stuck behind almost their own lines, and being able to force themselves onto a train to try and peek a corner, especially in a main area. If they try and challenge that too many times and get that negative play against them when they lose a player early, it's really going to cost them late.
Yeah, don't want to be losing any frags early on in the round. You can see Flexi's trying to get pop control here. This is also a point where you'll see quite a variation in how players decide to tackle it. So it's really a difficult part of the map to control as the CTs, I mean, unless you've got it without being contested from A main on the cross, you can get piled on by that double drop or a quick flash in. So that's something you'll see teams do every single round. Be execute coming through here. Black Poison finds one, does get answered by Custom. As we spoke about Dom on this side, he is a bit of a guardian, but only good for a frag. So this is a decent situation Big5 find themselves in.
Yeah, once again, very well executed, just making sure that they had their angles covered, not pushing down the ramp, and Blaze holding his angle, making sure that Flex has to come find him. I feel Energy are very, they're lacking the hesitation, and at the same time they're being too exposed to a single play area. So just the same as there with Black Poison being a little bit impatient and pushing out straight after they had two players, trying to spray down two players from such an angle when you know that you're a 4v4, it isn't something that's really going to be in your favor, even if you get one of those players, which you did. Because the second time the situation happens, that Flexi comes from behind him up Pop Dog, you've got no counter angle, so you're literally playing 1-on-2 every single time.
Yeah. Yeah, but early game jitters here. Not the first time we've seen it from Energy. They do sometimes take a few rounds to get going. They've got a really impressive T side, especially on a map like Train as well. They've just got so many different points that they can find the entry frag, so they're not going to be stressing by any means at this stage. But as I said earlier on, it's very important for Big5 to get off to a good start here, considering that they are the underdogs. I mean, for anyone who's interested, Energy have only lost 12 rounds in their past 4 maps. That's
so basically a quarter in this map.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you think about that stats, it's not even enough for one map victory in the past 4 maps that they've played. And that's against Goliath Gaming and Energy Academy, so those aren't teams to be scoffing at.
Not at all, not at all. And it's also maybe something that very vital that Energy needs to rely on, is that ability that they can come back from any difference in play style or any multiple types of games in a night. And as we see here, they're going to try and have to defend off this bit of a entourage of AKs that are coming through. And well, at this point, it's very difficult for Energy to even try and get that additional pick.
Yeah, I mean,
Blaze.
Big5 landing their shots here early on in the first map. They also did have a game against XTC before this on their ECL matchup. That was a 16-3 result for them. So look at what's that body doing there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Blaze lagged out a little.
No, there's a body on the blue train. He's like, I don't know.
Okay.
Looks like one of those guys who didn't pay for his train ticket, but he's still trying to catch the ride, like the ragdoll.
Yeah, full on stowaway.
So, Big5 about to make a 5-0 here. Kani, unfortunately, not going to be able to find a single frag for his team in the round. Like I said, Big5 hitting their shots. Blaze 8-0. I feel like he's one of the main catalysts for success in this team. He's going to have to try and find a way to work with this quartet of players. Convict, Spartan, Lighters, and Custom have been around together for a long time now. I mean, it's been about a year and a half nearly. The longest in South Africa that they've had that quad players together. So interesting. It'll be interesting to see how Blaze does fit into that setup.
True, and also it's something that's so vital to be able to try and stow knowledge from the previous players onto a teammate is making sure that you don't change too many too often. So even one or two players as it changes it up, obviously always causes a little bit of a hitch in your play style.
Yeah.
So it's really good to see that a team maintaining this and also maintaining changing game style plays. They're not just trying to manipulate one type of play and try and get better and better at that. They really are trying to change it up and alternate the ways that they're pushing out and the ways that they're using the different changes within the maps as they come.
Big5 keeping up with the slow game pace here, something that they are renowned for, very structured Counter-Strike, taking map control, making sure that the CTs can't get too comfortable sitting back and holding onto their equipment. You can see they are forced to use a couple of counter mollies and smokes here to try to keep Big5 at bay. And they are coming through though. Seems like we're going to be having a split onto the A-bomb side. Missed them! What is that timing on the spray through the smoke? Absolutely demolishing the two of them. All of a sudden, Big5 find themselves in 2 versus 4. Some unfamiliar territory so far in this game. Spartan and Custom going to be looking to salvage the situation. Energy quite patient on the retake and allow them to get the bomb down, start working together. Yeah, that pop flash for Spartan might cause a bit of trouble. No, he does go down to missed him. Custom now in the 1v3. Bomb down, he's got the Molotov to work with as well. He's going to be letting go very early, so Energy aren't going to be concerned about that. In fact, it didn't even land on the target.
Yeah, a little bit of a last-minute neck throw just in case to save some time. That's something that I guess Energy really needed from that round, and it often comes from a little bit of play of luck or a little bit of perfect timing. That game of inches, as we always talked about it in CS, the game of milliseconds. And I guess that's exactly what Mistim had to do there and get a nice play, which is also vital because you don't want Energy to start over-analyzing their players after coming back from a behind the lines game and also coming into overtime very concentrated for a long period of time.
Yeah.
It's going to be vital they don't overanalyze their plays and overthink what they're doing.
I think that's a good point. I mean, it's unfamiliar territory for them going to overtime. These guys have been playing lights out CS in the past maybe 2 months in South Africa, pretty much wiping away most of their opposition. Mistim going to be going for aggressive play. Yeah, perfect flash through the smoke. I believe that was from Kani. Yeah, it was. These guys have been made a really prolific duo. I'm not sure if Kani's taken him under his wing or what exactly is going on, but I've been seeing them play a lot of Counter-Strike with one another in terms of in the server, playing off of each other. Lots of teamwork between the two of them. And you can see another basic pop flash coming through here for Flexi, and that takes out Custom. Just really basic CS coming out from Energy here. Just breaking it down to the core and not doing anything flashy or fancy. Actually, they are doing something flashy, but it's pretty basic.
Yeah, well, I guess making the basic things look flashy is how well you can time it, and that's exactly what you need to do, especially in the situation where you're 5-0 down and twice in 2 games being in a situation you aren't used to the last while. It shows the difference between a really good team and a great team. Yep. Is the ability to come back from a scenario that you're not used to, then be able to repeat that soon afterwards and without panicking or causing yourself a change in your complete style of play.
I don't know why there's... Oh, I see what you mean. Guys, there's nothing really I can do about that, unfortunately. It's a bug in CS. I'll try to reconnect to the server and see if that makes a difference. So, Adam, just while I reconnect, if you want to just give us a radio cast there. If anything really important goes on or crazy. I'm connecting now, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, cool. I think it's really interesting to see how we're going to use this double AWP setup to make sure that Energy doesn't lose that early up and cost themselves an economy that they really need to build themselves and get themselves back into that confidence position of where they're used to. But the longer that they do this, I think the more structure that they'll create for themselves. And like you're saying, those basic pop flashes that come out and when well timed look almost heroic is just really important to make sure that they keep landing, because that keeps breaking down the confidence of Big.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that double AWP setup as well is just probably the best in South Africa between Kani and Black Poison, especially Black Poison. I mean, he's not even IGLing for them anymore because he specifically wanted to focus on his AWPing. And that's a pretty scary prospect for most teams. I mean, this guy was already a monster with the AWP. He sees even more potential in himself. So that's quite a daunting factor for any teams going up against this team.
Yeah, Yeah, the more specialized roles you're getting out of individual players, and you can almost get a full array of skills, the better that is. That just starts getting scary, especially when you start seeing 4 or 5 players firing at all cylinders. Then you start getting a situation where you actually don't understand how to counter it because they're constantly changing their play, because
Yeah.
they're bringing out their best aspects.
Yeah, and I mean, Train's also one of those maps that you can just get a bit aggressive with the AWP in different parts, but they're going to be getting aggressive into the A bomb site now. Our Big 5 moving their way in. Blaze and Spartan going to be heading up on the entry frags. Domster find the lurker on the opposite end of the map here, but that's not at all where the action's going down. Kani picks off 1, so again, Big 5 had have their numbers thinned before they've even gotten onto the bomb site. At least Knights is able to reply back with 1, though Black Poison, he loves that that boost up spot there, man. You're going to be finding him there all the time, and the retake does come through. So Energy starting to look a little bit more like themselves in these past 3 rounds. Very dominant rounds from them. They're going to actually build up quite a healthy economy off the back of that as well.
True, something they also need to make sure they maintain, obviously, and that's nice to see them starting to create more of a challenge against Big 5 after being 5-0 down. You in no finals or any kind of match you want to see a runaway map, so it is good to see that they haven't almost overthought their way out of it and had to wait for a reset or a pause, which is also nice to see because it's something that with Energy having that ability to change up the way that they think and the way that they're playing, it's really important to make sure you bring that back without having to stop out your gameplay just to get a reset.
Yeah, completely agree with you. Just watching Lighters there, landed a nice shot with the AWP, but somehow missed him. Actually won that that duel at range. He's going to be making it back all the way to Ivy safely, and that's a really important characteristic for a player, is to know when to make the aggressive play and when to pull back from that aggressive play in the same breath. You don't have to commit wholeheartedly once you have crossed the line. You can still come back after getting the pick, and sometimes you just feel like players get a little bit too flustered in some situations where they feel like they need to continue with that line of aggression relentlessly now. But once you do get a pick, it's a very good decision to try and drop back and actually deny Big 5 any opportunity of trading that out.
So vital. Yeah, I completely agree with you, because the more that you're able to trade it, I mean, a 3-on-3 in any situation, you know that these are going to have quite a bit of a power struggle and advantage at least. And it's with this duo obviously having the AWP setup, if you're going to be able to get themselves close up in the B sites, you're going to struggle to be able to counter that.
Well, Energy are struggling to get into the B bomb side at this point. Custom finding another nice pick there on the entry, and Domster doesn't have too much HP to work with between him and Black Poison. A nice nade does chip away somewhat at a few of the players. Molly not going to be forcing anybody out. They do both have kits, but Big 5 not giving anything away. Oh man, that was just so unfortunate from Black Poison there with the AW. Oh, it was actually Domster who had the AWP, forgive me. That was weird. Regardless, he just looked away from the angle of where the guy was as he got taken down. It's just a game of timing. We see that so often.
Yeah, literally, I mean, if you think about it, Energy's first entry into this map, the first round they got came off of Mistem spray through a smoke, and now the exact same opposite thing happened, and Big 5 haven't won a round since then, and they come back with a perfect timed angle change. And I mean, how many times have you noticed running into a site and both players look opposite directions as you get in?
Ooh, Custom holding a nice angle here towards E-Box. Somehow Flexi's still coming out on top of that duel, and that's going to try and promote his teammates to push into the A bomb site, though they find Flexi on the trade, and on the back of that they are going to go passively back into Ivy. Still so much time left on the clock. That's another thing about Train, man, is there's just so many different immediate points of contention where you can just fall back very quickly as well. So you can have these massive gun battles, but then moments later it's dead silence. And that's the exact reason. With so much time left on the clock, Big 5 certainly didn't need to commit there, and finding a frag was actually even more they would have wanted. Wow, Kani just finding a pixel to work with there against Convict. Convict didn't even see him on his screen.
Yeah, not at all. And that's something you mentioned that's so valid, is that ability to be able to get a pick and move away and rechange your positions within a couple of seconds. And that's so vital for the aspect of if you aren't able to retrade, or if you aren't able to trade a frag when it goes across. That often happens in Train, to that point where it actually frustrates you to try and push past an angle just so you can get a pick. Even we saw there, after getting that frag, Flex still came around the corner to try and get an extra frag just to force that angle out. And in the end of the day, almost causing a little bit of a problem.
Oh man, I don't know if you saw that. That was such a nice crossfire coming from Energy. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out completely for them. And we got a 2 versus 2 here. Blaze is going to be covering Spartan as he puts the bomb down, though Mistim is able to deny that, and the bomb actually drops completely in the open. Blaze doesn't really have the time to work with it. You can see he tries to force the issue, but completely unaware of Black Poison's positioning. What was just really interesting about that crossfire is they had Carney. I can't access my cursor on the minimap. Alright, so they had Carney sitting just outside of Connector and Domster covering a position on E-Box. And they could see Carney's weapon barrel, but they couldn't actually see his player model. So they had to swing out a bit wider to try and get it, and that meant that they pushed into Dom. And I'm not sure if that is exactly planned like that, but that's a really nice setup from them if it is. Great crossfire, just baiting Big5 to swing into that peak and Domster waiting with open arms.
Yeah, that's so true though. That angle is always such a tricky situation when you're able to see a barrel, because the first thing you're going to do is scope into it or hold on that angle until that player moves. Meanwhile, set up, as you say, very nicely done.
And that's just the smaller things in CS as well that you have to pick up on as a team, and you've got to try and get into your enemy's head mentally and try and disrupt them, you know. I mean, that's not something that you would expect a team to plan for, but when you are doing those types of players, that's like 300 IQ right there, man.
Yeah, and the more you can repeat that, the more you start realizing you'll see how teams can adjust and change their plays just by forcing other players to make their first error.
Yeah, exactly that. Black Poison now reverted to the B bomb site with the AWP. He's going to be falling back to a very passive position. Yeah, Big5 have had some success to the side of the map, so I wonder if they're going to try and do that again. Looks like they're just trying to fake a little bit towards B and then maybe get a heavy pop drop here. You can see that's the double drop that I was alluding to earlier, but in the end, it doesn't get the desired results. Flexi goes for the spray paints, and he's going to meet his maker on the back of that. 2 versus 3 here. Big5 actually find themselves in a bit of a favorable position. I'd like to see Custom hand over this AK-47 to Convict, or the other way around, excuse me, because Custom does have armor. Not that it made much of a difference in that case. Domster takes his head clean off. AK in his hands now. He is cooped up on the bomb sites, able to get himself off out of immediate contention. He's going to get pushing on the top here, and easy pickings for Domster. So, Energy, don't get flustered by that one round loss that came in between their few consecutive ones, and starting to build a bit of a half on the CT side.
Yeah, and also very evenly spread across the team. I mean, 7-6, 7-7-6 in cause of the frags. So something that you're seeing a vital contribution from each player, which is something that is so important from when you just come off of 2 very strenuous games, where at this point in a row they've gone to 15 all, and right now they're still evened up. So up until the point that they won overtime, they've only been even tonight. So that's the best strength of winning.
Yeah, and that's always a feel-good moment for the whole team when you do push tab and have a look at that. Boosts everyone's confidence a little bit, just that belief in one another. Something we haven't seen from Big5 is a bit of a early round presence, some aggression into the bomb site. They've just peeked out of A main maybe, or had a shoulder peek and pop, but never really committed to the bomb site as such. You can see maybe they're trying to get a bit of an acceleration on this round. Early smokes, a couple of volleys as well. Flexi playing around the edge of the smoke there. Going to be able to find one. But Big5 traded out. They're going to be quite happy with the position they find themselves in. They're going to have to find the rest of the frags on the bomb site now. Carney going to be contesting with the AWP. He comes in with one, nearly gets the second. He does actually get the second onto Custom. That was a very good follow-up shot there from him. And before you can even blink, Spartan is the only player now remaining. He's in the old bomb train. Plenty of time for him to work with, and I think he's gone undetected. Ooh, he actually hasn't. Have a look at this. Carney smells a rat, and he's holding the perfect angle to be able to close it out. They know that Spartan's the entry fragger, so it's quite obvious, I suppose, that if he's the only player remaining, he must have gotten behind your rank somehow.
Yeah, it's something you've always got to prep for, I guess, is that first position for somebody coming from behind you, because that's when they cause a lot of one-on-one situations, because the first thing you're going to do is try and take out the bomb or the angles coming forward. So, again, nicely read and not always picked up. I mean, like you're saying, talking about the basics earlier, they might have been making the gunshots and the angles look fancy because of the timing. But as it comes down to it, it's all the little bits and pieces that add up, including that game knowledge and game sense.
Yeah. Adds up, and that's what makes the difference between a good and a great player, isn't it?
100%.
Have a look at how Domster's playing this for anyone who's wondering. He's just shoulder peeking before he gets, and as he gets any information, he's going to drop that incendiary straight away and call for backup. It just allows you to dedicate 4 players to the A-bomb site, and it buys time for a rotation to come through, hopefully before there is a problem. You can see he does spot the player jumping across, goes for the volley. That forces them to try and push through. They know that there's probably only one player here, and they can capitalize if they get the frag, which they do. Blaze committing through the fires, as his name might suggest, and the bomb does go down. So that's a bit of a win in itself for Big5 in this round, considering they are on an eco, and they actually have a chance at perhaps getting a few frags here and dealing some damage to Energy's economy. Let's keep our eyes on Blaze, considering he is the player with the AK-47. Lands a nice shot there onto Mistum. Loses his teammate, but he's buying some decent time here in the round. He needs to try find a follow-up, not going to be, and only a couple of pistols now on the remaining players. Clock has ticked away here. Smoke going down. I wonder if Spartan can try and play amongst the chaos. Yeah, he finds a player, Carney Ballistic, who he was not aiming at whatsoever, just getting him on the cross. Always an interesting moment when you get one of those kills on the player that you weren't expecting to. Frustrating at the same time that you're not killing the guy that's busy defusing in the smoke.
Yeah, it's almost that moment that player in front is supposed to be defending the other player by creating a distraction. Meanwhile, your gun gets distracted and just shoots the player you're aiming at. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But also, when you're on the opposite end and the game is so tight and that kind of play happens and kills you, then your teammate dies. Then you start getting frustrated, saying, "I wasn't even in front of him when I died, and now he dies afterwards." So a perfect time, I guess, and just one frag and a nice done by Energy to make sure they secure the lead for the first time this map.
Yeah, good points. It is indeed the lead for the first time. Mistum's been very proactive here towards Ivy. You can see once again now getting it boosted above the smoke. Kani's going to drop the smoke again so that he can continue utilizing this angle, and surely Big5 don't expect this whatsoever. They do have 3 players grouped up here, so the trade should be on the cards, especially once that smoke dissipates and Mistum doesn't really have the cover to drop back. He may be good for 1. I do like this play from the Terrorist though, trying to take control of Ivy with multiple players and then maybe dropping a couple back once you have that control. You can see Mistum now dropping back off of the smoke dissipating, and actually he gets supported by Black Poison now. So Energy actually putting some heavy emphasis towards Ivy here. Good read from them.
There's been a lot of concentration towards this Ivy when there has been 3 players from the CTs. I mean, if you look at it, more than 60 or 70% of the map is sitting in this area of one alleyway. So this push out is going to be vital from Big5, as they need to make sure they take full control. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves isolated individually, and the Orphan doesn't take a first shot. But Carney, for the first time in a while, misses his first straight up shot. Mistum goes down, and so does Black Poison. The entry into A is perfect from the perspective of Big5. Still Spartan shooting his teammate in the back as well as clearing it out. Finally a 2-on-5 as Big5 trying to level this out again.
Yeah, they look pretty good to do so as well. Energy don't have the best economy to work with. You'd like to see them try and save these weapons because 3 players can buy. Ooh, that was a 1-tap from Convict. So they can try to save 1 weapon now, but I like the way that Big5 didn't get flustered in that round, even though there was Carney taking shots with the AWP, Mistum hiding in the corner there, Black Poison close around towards Green Train. They didn't get flustered, they committed to the tactic, they covered one another, and they were able to find the picks. So that was a really nice execute coming out from them.
Yeah, I think it's actually been really great all sides around. I mean, regardless of who's been winning or losing, it hasn't been because of a panic or because of a lack of knowledge of the game. It's just been because of that moment being more in favor of one side than the other, which is really creating great Counter-Strike throughout the map. And often you'll see, even though the game might be 7-all or 15-all going to overtime, it's really been one side that's dominated a complete round each time, instead of rather each play being its own unique strength. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, it is very much so, and that's how you really get consistency and composure as a team in the long term, is to be making those types of plays. You know, the flashy highlight reel stuff isn't going to be winning you games consistently. You need to have the basics and the know-how and the teamwork.
True, and I also think it'll keep you away from almost a team vibe. I think you'll end up rotating more teams than winning games with a one team, because of the fact you'll end up having to do that as your only form of play if you keep maintaining that. And if you forget your basics, you know, the special highlights don't really come out as fancy as you think they do.
Yeah. In that same breath, though, you do need that ability to just stand up and make your individual play. And when you're looking at all these names in the server, all of these players are capable of doing it. We've got some top-class players in South African CS in this game tonight. I mean, some really experienced guys as well, looking at Lighters, Custom, Convict, from the big side specifically. Now they're going to be trying to get into the B-bomb side. Lighters does find a pick over on the opposite side of the map. Black Poison, though, finds a player on the cross, so that does even out the numbers game here. Going to be throwing a molly to deny any extra support, but the damage is coming in towards the A-bomb side, so that's going to be hindering the amount of players that can commit to the retake here. Flexi taking some damage through the Molotov as well, so not an ideal retake situation here for Energy as they make their way forward. They only have a kit on Flexi as well. So they're going to have to be keeping tabs on that. He's making his way forward here quite aggressively. That smoke should be dissipating soon. He knows that custom has to be close. He's able to bring him down, but Black Poison is saving in the last round. Okay, there we go. The penny drops. It's way too late. He's able to get one. Now it's about highlight kills. One guy right underneath him, one guy on the bomb side. He's going to be able to get that guy. Surely he doesn't get the third. No, that's actually the fourth for him in the round. Anyway, 8-7.
Yeah, that's all the way through. And if Black Poison had got that frag in the air, almost one of those I don't care kind of shots, then it would have just been really a highlight reel.
Imagine he hadn't turned around initially, man, and he committed to the retake from the beginning. He didn't think he had to save his weapon. That would have maybe been the few seconds that he needed. He wouldn't have panicked so much.
No, exactly. And as we just said that, I think the first time we've even mentioned words panic, and in 14 rounds, the first round thereafter, somebody turns around on the last one of the half to save. So
yeah,
uncharacteristical loss almost, and Big5 able to take the lead again, which is very vital because they want to create themselves just that extra momentum, because if they win this pistol now, Energy really have to do a little bit of thinking to make sure that they don't overspend or cost themselves a vital round towards the end.
Yeah, for sure. This is an important pistol round here for Big5 to continue to stamp their authority on this game. I think that if Energy pick this up, they might run away with the half, so lots at stake here for both of the teams. You can see only Kani, the player with equipment, so personally, I'm not a really big fan of this. I like to see a few more players maybe on the T side. I know 3 is quite frowned upon, but when you're playing against such high caliber players, you're generally going to be going down to the one tap from the USP, so the body armor isn't as much of a factor. So I don't think committing 4 players on the T side is necessary to that. Especially on a map like Train, there's so much opportunity for executes. But look at this, our Energy trying to replicate what Big5 did to them. 3 players in Ivy, 1 guy towards ramp at B. Black Poison faking it pop a little bit. Big5 are really well poised to deal with this though. You can see Custom and Convict both going back all the way into CT spawn. They're playing retake on the A bomb side. This is not a tactic you see too regularly from teams. Generally, if you're going to play retake for a bomb side, it will be on the B bomb site. And you'll try and hold on to A. Energy not committing to it though. They actually get a little bit antsy there and decide to drop back. So interestingly enough, they are going to be reverting all the way around.
What about a clever decoy, maybe almost making them think they're going to do something similar to that? But if they've been watching Big5's players and they've noticed that maybe they've been more defensive on the A side rather playing for a bit of a retake or losing a player, this will be a very interesting play because Energy are really good at keeping dead quiet all the way till the end. But again, like you say, without that head armor and this long range on Train, you're going to take yourself some damage with only one guy with the utils.
Yeah, there's 5 Big5 players in this B bomb side at the moment. They've got everybody here to deal with it. They don't even need to make the retake happen. It looks like they're going to be finding the picks as Energy make their way into the bomb sites. Only 2 players remaining for them, and there's just no time to work with. Energy just looked very confused in that round. Weren't really sure what they wanted to get done. As soon as they were trying to get a little bit of information, Big5 did some damage to Black Poison there in Pop Dog, and then they didn't see anybody in IV. They started to maybe doubt themselves a bit, going all the way back around into the B bomb site. Big5, they didn't have to do anything. They just sat and waited in that round.
Yeah, again, interesting from Energy. I mean, the same as how Big5 were doing their T round. They're waiting for Energy to make the push, and in this case, again, not making their favor, and they've actually swapped halves. So something that Energy needs to be careful of is not doubting their ability to make the play. And once they execute it, then just go with it, because as soon as you doubt that choice, it's going to cause yourself a headshot on this map, especially.
Yeah, and I mean, when you do consider yourselves the favorites, you need to commit to the decisions you're making. You don't want to start doubting yourself for any reason whatsoever. And Big5 picking up a very important pistol round there, but Energy are no slouch on these force buys. You can see Dumpster does find the first pick there, but a lot of damage being done to a couple of the Energy players. In fact, Lighters closes out that frag with the USPS, and that's going to prompt Energy to push straight on into this A bomb site, trying to close the gap between them and Big5. They're trying to bring these pistols into play, and in fact, they've seemed to have gotten control of the A bomb site here. Black Poison going to be catching Spartan off guard. He might try and make a play for Convict here as well. The smoke is just giving him a little bit of cover to work with. The flash is perfect. It doesn't reach its destination from Convict, but it does still get the desired result. Bomb going down for Energy, so that's a decent result in its own. Carney playing between Sandwich here. He's going to be hearing the player wrapping around him. Unfortunately, he doesn't connect on any of his deagle shots, and Big5 are going to make the retake happen. But did you see what happened in Heaven there? Or
yeah, it was a perfect little bounce off the corner and basically flashing the ladder, but also forcing Black Poison to get stuck on the ladder because he can't see his way out.
Oh, that was so funny, man. That was just, and there's like a perfect gap in the smoke for Convict to work with as well. I mean, that's where you need to
Maybe
ask the
even one way
question
and
if it's
this way.
intentional. Exactly, man. I mean, these guys are making these types of plays intentionally, generally. And even if they're not, they'll tell you that they are just because it worked out. Can't blame them for that.
True, one. And on the other side of things, even if they tell you it was, it's probably because of the fact they've seen it and then it worked out in their favor, even though
Yeah.
they didn't know they were doing it. Mind repetition from watching, basically. Just a bit of my muscle memory.
Well, Spartan's muscle memory is not being faltered just yet. He's landing some nice shots here. Again, just creating a bit of space between him and the terrorists as well after finding those 2 picks. It's a really important thing for players to learn, as I said earlier, but I want to talk about it again because I feel like it's something that people don't really grasp the concept of enough, and that is not committing to aggression once you found a kill. See it so often in players when they find that first kill and they got their eyes all lit up. They want to try and get that multi-kill, continue pushing forward, and they end up dying and pretty much giving away all advantages they just found for their team. So if you are a young budding player out there, just try and keep yourself a little bit more contained in those situations. Get the pick, fall back, keep the advantage, lock it in.
Yeah, I think it's also vital when it comes to a little bit more exposure and experience to the game and to the environment of it, where your adrenaline kicks in as soon as you succeed, or if something happens that's really on edge, and you feel like you win something, you feel like you're invincible. And that's something that's obviously a vital change that has to come through as you play, because the more confident you get, the more you have to use that confidence to create doubt in the enemy's minds and opposition's minds, rather than just because of the fact that you are at an advantage that you're going to win.
So, going into our first buy round here on the second half. And a very good opportunity for Big5 to start running away with this first map if they are able to pick this up. That's an interesting smoke by Lighters. It does leave a little bit of a gap above it, so you can see that if there are any players that try and creep down the ladder. And it also denies the terrorists any opportunity to do that as well. Smoke's still coming through from Energy in towards the A-bomb side. Looks like they want to just do a stock standard A hit here. You can see 2 players above Pop. Lighters is going to get tested here. He catches them completely off guard as they're trying to line up the boost. He's going to get them both. Completely throwing a spanner into the works of this Energy A execute here, as that takes out one of their main points of contention. They're going to have to get a bit of a hero play here from the remaining players.
Sure, this is going to be tight, especially with the 2 players really close up, and obviously been spotted out coming out of A main. All 3 players even coming from that same entrance side. Light is also quite a pivotal play, but there it goes. The first one coming down, finally able to take a headshot. They're going to have to clear out a little bit more, but unfortunately, as the setup is coming, that's Big5 are just able to keep those crosses in a perfect angle.
Yeah, Energy not finding any success in this first buy round. Carney going to get taken down by Spartan as well, so Big5 get the desired results. I mean, that just all came off of the timing from Lighters as he caught those guys in Pop Dog. I mean, that couldn't have been worse for Energy. They were just busy lining up some equipment, about to drop the pop flash, jumping onto each other's head, and they got a bit of a rude surprise there. So we are going to be seeing a pause coming through here. I think this is a technical pause because it's not a one that you have to vote for. It's an indefinite pause. I'm not sure exactly what the rules are with the ESEA playoffs.
Yeah, I think it may sometimes it's just on that moment of let's just pause and then not really worry about what the ruling is. Just make sure you don't exceed 2 minutes when it's in betweens or something like this. But at the same time, I mean, if you look at it, Big5 really have hit an awesome achievement here. I mean, Energy hasn't lost this many rounds in quite a while, like you were saying. And if you look at that comparison and just the way that they're structuring their plays, they're having so much more patience than you see in a grand final with nerves. I mean, they've come out on the opposite end. They were actually more ready on a map for a grand final being an underdog than the other way around.
How are they going to deal with this aggressive hit from Energy into the A-bomb site though? They're able to get a couple players posted outside nice and early. Black Poison with the CZ. But have a look at how Big5 are playing this in the A-bomb site. They are not giving the pistols any opportunity by nullifying the effect of that close range impact though. Flexi, he's got some other answers for that scenario. The distance doesn't matter when you have a hand cannon, man. Oh, and he shows us exactly why that is the case by giving us a second. Surely he's not going to be able to get a third. Maybe I should be following this guy. I don't know why the auto director wasn't on that. That's just frustrating, but doesn't look like it's going to be turning into too much here for Energy. I mean, just going back to the point you were making, Energy have been playing Lights Out CS 16-1, 16-0 against Goliath Gaming, although it must be added that Goliath did play with style for one of the first times in an official game, and playing against Energy with a new player is not easy.
No, and especially when you're not getting to pick all the maps, and at the same time trying to synchronize things when I guess Energy's timing things like we were seeing earlier, just a couple of rounds of timed flashes can create a whole difference in the map. So, you know, you want to make sure that even that timing has been able to be broken. That's a new player to the side of the different game style. Oh, straight through that glass.
Black Poison actually come out on top of that kill? He's got such low health. Now Custom is forced to try and root this guy out. He doesn't have any equipment to do so either. Oh my god, Energy play that fantastically. That was just questionable decision making from Big5 there, considering they decided to commit 3 players to the B bomb site. They left the A bomb site open. Energy just walked straight in there, got the bomb down, and didn't even lose a single player in the post plant, taking down 2 of Big5's. I'm not sure what the logic was there behind Big5. I think they just got a little bit too comfortable with the idea of retaking on A, maybe not respecting Energy enough there.
I completely agree with you. I think it came down to that aspect. They were actually not paying attention to all the angles to enter into the site just because they thought that they would be able to retake it no matter where they came from.
So, Energy, they get a lifeline. Ooh! Flick sniping Connie. He doesn't want a lifeline. Look at this aggressive play coming out from Big5. That HE might land on its mark as well. No, actually Big5, they just want to try and get a couple HEs into Ivy Roll. That actually works out really nicely. Mistum gets brought down to 41 health. And one of the main things that does is it brings him into the one-tap range now of the M4s and the FAMAS even. So that's one of the main, it's a really useful aspect of the HE grenade that a lot of teams forego, and that's the fact that you just need to get a bit of chip damage done on the CT side with it to bring those one-taps into play from your rifles. On the T side, I think it's better to go for the double flash. On CT, I'd go with the HE and the single flash.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it's so vital to see that ability. Just like teams are using their flashes with each other, they should be using the AK just to be able to get that initial headshot and get the kill at the same time. And oh, very well peaked by Flex here. Even though taking a headshot, he kind of moved past both bullets, dodging from both sides, and kind of matrixing himself through, then still taking the pick. Very, very well done on that 2 HP.
Yeah, 2 HP alive and kicking. Looks like Energy are going to try and fake towards the B bomb site. They're actually doing quite a successful job at it as well. They've pulled 2 players across. They've pulled all of them across from A, Adam. No, not like this Big5. Completely overcommitting to the rotate, and Energy have sold them down the Nile River all the way to Ukraine. I don't know, man.
Yeah, the Nile is not only a river in Egypt, but I must admit that I think Energy did pick up a little bit of a flaw there, and that was the fact that they are very, very confident on A, which means that if you sell them out on B, they're going to be okay to retake A. But at that point, if you've lost the player and had 4 players alive on T's, you're not going to come out very, very strong, especially with the ability to not tell, oh, well, never mind, not to, exactly.
Exactly
even with 10
yeah.
HP on 3 players.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point you're making, that Big5 maybe just getting a little bit too comfortable with their A side retakes and holds and committing too much or investing too much into that by not trying to hold onto the site a little bit more and over rotating too. So they're going to have to consider that, and that's something that Energy can start to take advantage of now, is almost double faking, you know, faking onto the B bomb site, then hitting on A and then committing to B. I'm just trying to take advantage of this little bit of doubt they may have created in Big5's gambling. Have a look at this very aggressive push with the pistols. Pistol's able to clean up too. They're going to have to get a bit more done though. Big5 still come good with 2 frags of their own, and in fact Blaze is able to make it back as well. So round not over yet.
Yeah, getting close up with those pistols can cause a lot of damage, and AK spraying across each other, but there we go, Energy still maintaining just that extra bit of patience that they need to, and even just before that, Blaze was expecting a little bit of a jump up towards him and trying to chase him back, but Energy are holding out that patience.
Yeah, Energy are looking good here in the past couple of T rounds. I can't see the round summary. Can you see that if you push tab?
No, not in between. No,
I don't know why.
The results.
That's frustrating. I don't know. It must be a bug with the panorama UI release. There's been a couple of them. Not entirely sure. It's just difficult to keep track of exactly how many players died, who have saved. Difficult for the economy as well, but at least we can see those numbers. Makes it slightly easier.
Yeah,
Anyway,
true.
it looks like Energy are going to try and get a very aggressive B hitter, just exactly as I was talking about, trying to take advantage of that doubt they've created. You can see Black Poison finds one. Very extensive from them towards Heaven here, and you can see that Lighters takes advantage of that, cleaning both Mistim and Flexi up. So that height battle doesn't actually work out for them. Maybe trying to catch Big5 off guard by committing 2 players to that. Even they actually had 3 players up there.
Yeah, it's they're crowding themselves together to make sure that they can get extra frags, but when they lose, they're losing hard because of it. And off, almost getting that peak. Carney just waiting for that little bit of an angle, and Black Poison able to pick up 2 now, putting it back into a 2-on-2 position. So even that situation where they had 3 players watching the site, they lost 2 to a single line item, and that isn't always the most safe situation when you haven't got control of the rest of the map.
Yeah, exactly that. And they've got tons of time to work with here. 2 of the most prolific CS players in South Africa, Kani and Black Poison, up against Convict and Blaze. I mean, this is a pretty daunting task. And have a look at this. Big5 have decided to split up 1 player on either of the bomb sites. Oh man, that could cost them hard. I mean, of course, you could say that that's what they have to do, but in some instances, you'd rather go for the gamble and then play the retake. Here, they're going to be very disjointed. Convict, he's only on 10 points of health. He's going to have to be landing all his shots here. Black Poison playing from the top. He might be able to catch Kani. Oh, no. He doesn't commit to it. Kani's going to be able to get off the bomb site. What? How doesn't he get taken down there? He spots out Blaze as well. Very low HP for the 2 remaining players here on Energy. Blaze up close. He's got the kit to work with as well. Just needs to land a couple of shots here. Oh, Kani moving around this train so effectively here. Though Blaze, he does read it. Kani's still not committing. He's going to get the sound cues he needs to work with now. And he's going to be able to catch Blaze off. Perfectly played. Moving his way around the train there. And that was very impressive for Energy to close out that round from a 2 versus 4 position.
2 versus 4, and I think second time now, and really at a point that you saw them kind of dip in their confidence and dip in their players where they lost early players uncharacteristically, and it was really nice just to make sure that they can come back from that kind of situation. It's good to see.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very telltale sign of this team, and that's what we were talking about earlier, needing that. Oh, nice shot there by Black Poison, clean through the smoke. Needing that ability to just step it up every now and again, go change up a gear and make the hero play that your team requires. You can see now on the save run for Big5 there, not looking too good here. That was a nice little play there by Black Poison as he picked up 2 kills, a 3rd one for him now. Thanks Radix for the suggestion there on more stats. I thought that might work, but it seems that just gives us more detailed statistics on each individual player, not necessarily the round breakdown.
Even though at the same time, quite an interesting stat to see how many more players Energy is flashing, just seeing how their cohesive plays are more team orientated rather than the reliance on an aim frag or an initial pick as you play.
Yeah, that's a great point you make. That's the EF, right? Effective flashes.
Correct.
Okay, so enemies flashed actually. All right. Yeah, I think that's such a good point you make. Look at that, Black Poison and Carney and Flex, 8, 8, and 7. That is way more than any one of the individual players on Big5's team. Custom and Blaze haven't landed a single flash. Granted, Blaze is one of the entry fraggers. That's still not even really an excuse. I mean, on CT side, you should be at least landing some flashes. So that's something that Big5 going to have to be looking at, and we've seen how effectively Energy have used them as well. Just picking up free kills all around the map, catching players off guard with the basic pop flash.
So true, so true, and just the basic flash, like you're saying. Even if you're an entry fragger, you're gonna end up, and which we have seen actually, players ending up, Blaze himself being one on 4, etc. And at that point, you need to be at least flashing one person if you want to be taking around in any back foot. But at the same time, 2 rounds ago actually, I had a look, and it was 6 on Black Poison, I think, and 7 on Flex.
Yeah.
So basically, Carney has got 6 flashes in the last 3 rounds.
Okay.
Which shows you between Black Poison and Carney, they've literally flashed 8 players in the last 3 rounds together, which has won them the 3 rounds, which is really a team kind of vibe.
I mean, you'd also expect that more on the T side, right? I mean, just generally, you should be flashing more for your teammates and playing a little bit more off of one another on T side than you are on CT. So you can see that these rounds, these all-important rounds that Energy have been picking up are because of exactly that, as you just noted. Carney getting some really effective flashes in there. And you can see all of the Energy players who could afford it went for the double flash. Not a single one of them going for that HE grenade on the T side. And again, opening up with an aggressive passage of play here, just to try and perhaps put Big 5 on the back foot early on in the round.
Yeah, very important, as obviously Big 5 were able to do that to Energy in the first half, and I think it's something that you need to be able to maintain when you tie yourselves all the way back. You need to be able to get that just a little bit of stretch, just a little bit of lead, some little extra advantage, and just ride on that all the way through for the last couple of rounds.
So Big 5 looks like they may get tested towards the B bomb side once again. Have a look at how passively they've been playing outside, Adam. Really just all the way back at Ivy, bomb train, connector, old bomb train, not even committing to E-box or even as close as blue or green train, just playing very, very passively outside. The one thing that denies them is a bit of information to work with, and you can see Custom is going to get caught off guard completely here on the B-bomb side as he gets mollied out of position. Going to be calling for the rotates to come through. He's still completely flashed though. Flexi jumps into his own Molotov, and that's going to allow Spartan to get Domster as well. Energy just not looking coordinated whatsoever, or looking completely uncoordinated here as they make their way into the B bomb side. This is the second time they've tried to do this strategy, and they've ended up in the same position again. Surely they're not going to be able to get a hero play to save them this time. Kani in 1 versus 5. A very similar position, but different results.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for a situation that you're not going to find yourself in a position to win two 2-on-4s very regularly if you're going to be making the same play. But I actually must admit, I don't think that was actually Flexi's Molotov. I think he popped a flash before, and then there was such a great play from Big5. I think they actually threw that Molotov below as they saw the smoke and the flash come out on top.
Oh, alright. So yeah, it could have actually been that. I'm not entirely sure, but I thought it was Energies because Custom was standing there and the molly landed on him. But you're right, that could have been one of his teammates coming through to try and give him support on that drop down. Either way, Energy in a position now where they've lost first T round in a while. Pretty much a reset on the cards for both teams. Yeah, Black Poison the only player with a significant amount of money. More so for Big5 than Energy in terms of who's got to be more concerned of that reset. So they're going to be playing very conservatively here. Convict on that AWP. This man is a monster with the AWP. When Convict's on his day, yeah, sorry, I just want to say when Convict's on his day, he is, he's one of the best in South Africa.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you say. Like on important days when he fires, it's actually quite silly. You can take out 4 or 5 players around for 5-6 rounds in a row, and you just think it's going to end at some point, and he just gets better.
Just keeps going and going. So Energy, with a bit of a push through our Ivy, he missed him coming out on top of Blaze, and in fact that's going to be a massive problem for Big5's defense because now they're completely disjointed as they lose that Ivy control. You can see a couple of players reacting and trying to cover that angle, and that creates more space for the rest of the Energy team to push into the A bomb side. Spartan able to catch 1. Somehow he gets 2 with the MP9 from Popdog. Kani and Flexi going to be very frustrated with that. Only 17 seconds left on the clock now. Energy need to get the bomb down here. Spartan, they know where he is, and unfortunately he hasn't even been able to get a better weapon off the back of those kills. Bomb going to be going down now. Convict, he could actually catch them off guard with the AWP. He comes around, perfect timing. Domster, lightning fast, does make sure that nothing out of the ordinary going down that round. 13-13, Big5 get reset.
Yep, vital round, just as you were saying. The team that should have been most cautious was the one that actually didn't come through in the end, and it's going to cost them a lot more because they're pretty much not going to have much even. I mean, even for next round, you're not going to be able to get everything you'd want to and not have any reliance on the last round if you want to play for your 15. So it's something that they need to make sure that at least try and cause as much economical damage, maybe take away the AWP, do something to make sure you don't get a whitewash in this round.
Yeah, completely agree with you. They need to make sure that Energy don't just run rampant for the next couple of rounds. Nice little boost up there from Kani, able to find Spartan and Energy. Just make sure that they do a little bit of dent damage or chip damage before they start pushing into these eco rounds. They don't want to be getting overwhelmed by the pistols.
Overwhelmed by the pistols and close by is going to cause quite a lot of damage, and quite quickly, as we have seen. Obviously, Energy rather good at that pistol rush and hasn't been as successful in their CT side when they were trying to get extra advantage, but definitely on the T side has worked out, so Big5 trying to replicate it.
Yeah, I mean, I think because Energy are so good at it, maybe they're a little bit more aware of it. You know what I mean? That they're conscious that that is something that might go down, so they play a little bit more precautionary against these eco rounds, because they know how much potential lies in them. Anyway, just while we have a bit of a down period here, guys, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the YouTube channel. Once I get 100 subscriptions, I can get a custom URL. How cool is that, man? A custom URL, not just blah, 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 blah.
You got to say that backwards and in 3 different languages.
Oh no, that's not possible. I can only speak English, man. So you can do Polish and
Now and again.
English, and can you do Afrikaans?
Yeah, we can combine all 3 and make a new language. If we want.
Combine all 3. I don't even want to know.
Well, technically, that's what your
what
YouTube
that
video
sounds
link
like.
is.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's just
That's
random
your YouTube video
characters
link.
at the moment. So yeah, that's my okay. We just need to come up with a name for this language now.
Yeah, I'm blank on that one though.
But yeah, that would be cool. 100 subscriptions, and I can do it like I can make it like haze casting or something like that. Help me out, guys. Make it.
Yeah, the sexy haze. I like it.
Oof, I don't know if I go that far, bro. Look at
Well,
Big 5.
I think that can be the description. That can be the description.
Okay. I might go that far. We'll see. Anyway, Big 5 are going to be double ecoing here, so they decide to rather play for overtime, which is the mature decision to be making in this situation. Rather than having 2 half buys, have 1 proper full buy and give yourself the best opportunity. Of course, Energy won't be entirely sure what's going to be coming out here from Big 5, so they're going to be taking it a bit slower and try and deduce exactly what sort of a buy Big 5 are working with here. They're going to hear that pistol from Spartan, so that's going to be giving them a bit of information. He actually landed a nice little dink onto Cannibalistic before he went down there.
Yeah, vital little chipways, as you were saying, that they need to make sure that they get before pushing out. And at this point, a little bit of an extra advantage they needed. And until that point, not knowing what was coming at them. So very, very vital patience and energy, not giving away around that they really don't need to and shouldn't.
Yeah, this is certainly going to be one of the easier rounds that they have to contend with. I mean, of course, guys, this is the ESEA Grand Final at the moment, so lots on the line here. Bragging rights for days, $540 for the winning team as well. A little bit of pocket change for the boys, you know. Unfortunately, it's not a massive prize pool. There's a bit of remuneration, though. I mean, we got Comic-Con coming up as well, and that's going to be a really interesting event, considering that there's quite a few favorites. Energy, of course, not going to be in attendance. Going to be giving an opportunity for the rest of the teams. We're going to see who pretty much the second best team in South Africa is. Of course, it's up in the air at the moment, so should be hotly contested.
Very much so, and on a stage like Comic-Con, you also have this extra vibe to the air, the extra feel of something the first time, a new event, a new feel to it. So it's nice to crown a winner for the first time, even though it's obviously part of a similar tournament in the past. It's really great to have that different environment around it, and just have also a different crowd around you, a different set of people that haven't seen the game and learn newly about these teams. It'll be great to see the second and third rated, or
Yeah.
first top 3 even, to be able to spread them their news and word to new and potential watchers.
Yeah, I think between Goliath, Big 5, Lead Pro and Sinister 5, those are my top 4 for the event. They're all going to be battling out, and I wouldn't be surprised if any one of them won it. Probably the most surprised would be Sinister 5, just considering that they're the newest roster of the bunch. But again, getting straight back into the game here, Black Poison's been able to get out into A very quickly here. We didn't see Big 5 doing this whatsoever on their T side, and he just posts himself here right at Olaf, holding a powerful angle that you really can't do much about besides clear or face check as the CTs. If it gets mollied, you generally can move out of the Molotov without being forced into the open. So once you do get here, it's very strong, and now have a look at what it allows for him to do. He gets to get onto the A-bomb side very quickly here. In fact, he's been able to go all the way to Green Train completely undetected. He's going to catch Blaze. Oh no, don't do it. Okay, he wanted to go for the knife. He's going to be able to get the one. Spartan reacts quick enough though to trade that out. Oh, I just saw Robbie's eyes light up there. He wanted that knife. I know it, you know it, we all know it. He doesn't get it. He gets taken down. Doesn't stop Energy though, they continue pushing onto the A bomb sites. Big 5 going to have a lot to deal with here as this hit starts to come through. Quite a bit of equipment getting dropped onto the bomb site, and Big 5 just not contesting whatsoever. They in fact even go as far as to allow the bomb to get down. Flexi overextending a little bit on that bomb site. Big 5 of course up against map point here, going to have to make this retake come through. Carney finds one. Oh man, missed him playing a very powerful angle here. He might actually go undetected as well. He's going to be hearing the scopes and the footsteps. and feeding that information off to his teammates. Look at Energy just giving nothing away in this post plant. Missed him taking down Spartan, and that's going to be drawing the attention of the remaining two Big 5 players. That brings Domster into the play, and it's just a perfect triangle of death coming out from Energy, with Mistim being the final catalyst for the result. And that is our first map, 16-13, going. So our next map is Inferno, ladies and gentlemen, which should be just as interesting as this one. I'm not sure. Adam, are you still there? Seems like I may have timing, considering the fact that we are going to be going into a short break. Music while we do have this intermission.
See you now.
We've been wandering in the dark, a million miles apart, going nowhere. Believe that even if we're lost, you know it won't be long till we get there. Ooh, spinning round, no control. Burning down, letting go. We've been wandering in the dark, but no matter where we are, just remember. Even if we're lost, you know it won't be long till we get there.
Side by side, on every road we cross, but suddenly we are lost with you. I barely see where we used to cross the line. The memories that we built are gone, so freestyle.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's pretty fucking disappointing at this point because, as you can see, I'm still in the lobby and I can't get into the GoTV for the game. They haven't changed server, they're still in the same server. I had confirmation from the players, and when I do try and connect to the server, I keep getting this retrying error. So, I'm not sure what to do. I've tried restarting my game to see if that helps, but at the moment, at this point, I don't know what the resolution is. Unfortunately, I don't think the players are going to be restarting and changing servers. Of course, they've already started the map a couple rounds in, so there's no way of transferring as the game stands to another server. So guys, oh man, so frustrating. Was so into that game. That first map was a cracker. Inferno was going to be just as good, no doubt. And now we've been struck down by GoTV. So I'm going to keep the stream running and live for now, guys. Just keep it on in the background. Keep checking back. Hopefully I would have got a resolution. Otherwise, worst case scenario, potentially at halftime they can restart. I'm not sure if they would be willing to do it then. They could go to a new server, or if it does go to a third map, maybe then as well. Anyways, for now, guys, I'll just keep the music on in the background. I think Wham has ducked, so from his side, good night. For me, I'm going to be just hanging on and seeing if the game does come through. If anyone has a fix, hit me up. If not, we're going to be waiting together, so send me your best memes or go follow me on Twitter or something constructive.
We've been wandering in the dark, a million miles apart, going nowhere. Believe that even if we're lost, you know it won't be long till we get there. Ooh, spinning round, no control. Burning down, letting go. We've been wandering in the dark, but no matter where we are, just remember. We rise and we fall. We'll stay untouchable.
Weed gun bitches drop. Weed gun bitches drop.
side by side on every road we cross, but suddenly we are lost with you. I barely see where we used to cross the line. The memories that we built are gone. So freestyle and don't let go. If you're not ready to move on now, you're not ready to move on now. So please say that you'll stay, 'cause I'm not ready to move on now. You're not ready to move on now. So freestyle and don't let go. If you're not ready to move on now, you're not ready to move on face to face, and every word we said is nothing we could change. For you, I could walk the front line between the wars and guns, 'cause nothing could make me feel like you. So freestyle and don't let go. If you're not ready to move on now, you're not ready to move on now. So please say that you'll stay, 'cause I'm not ready to move on now. You're not ready to move on now. 'Cause I'm not ready to move on now. So freestyle and don't let go. If you're not ready to move on now, you're not ready to move on now.
Yo, what's up, guys? Okay, it's working. Yo, what's up, guys? Just wanted to say thank you for everyone who's hung around in the hopes that we could get back into the server. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem likely, and Energy are running away with the second map, Inferno, as well. So I'm going to end the stream here, but very sorry for GoTV's or on GoTV's behalf. I wish I could have brought you some more quality CS, but unfortunately not to be. If you want to keep a close look at what's to come, just go follow me on social media, as you can see at the bottom left of the screen there, or subscribe to my YouTube channel. That would be much appreciated as well. Anyway, guys, I hope that you have a great evening further, and I'll catch you on the flip side.